Hi, I'm Nomi, and welcome to my podcast, Because I Love My Body. I'm so excited to bring you this podcast, where we'll be exploring the world of boudoir photography, talking about body awareness, self-empowerment, and so much more. I started my boudoir photography business in 2016 after realizing that my work in the fashion and entertainment photography industry didn't align with my true understanding of womanhood and beauty. Growing up with both of my parents as liberal rabbis, I learned that soul and body are equally important, and boudoir photography became my perfect medium to capture this essence. In this podcast, we're going to have open, casual conversations about topics that aren't discussed widely. I'm here to empower women and help you embrace your authenticity and feel more confident in your own skin. So join me to celebrate womanhood, beauty, and empowerment in all its forms. Hello, and welcome to this podcast episode of Because I Love My Body. I am so thrilled to have Vicky Krug of Vulva Casting on the podcast this week. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, as you can tell by my smile.
Yeah, I'm so excited you're here. I am obsessed with your work. For people who don't know, Vicky Krug is the incredible artist where she casts women's vulvas. I had heard before of like women casting like their bodies, like their breasts and their torso. And I don't even know how I found you on Instagram, but all of a sudden I found Vulva Casting, and it is showing the diversity and the beauty of women's vulvas. And I think really eliminating the shame from women feeling like their vulva has to look a certain way, or somehow there's like a better, like there's a superior and inferior vulva, and just showing actually that vulvas are as diverse as the women who inhabit them. So would love for you to share a bit about your work. How did you get into this?
Sure. I mean, how did I get into it? It is actually a really funny, shocking, everything story, because I had to turn 27 myself to, for the first time in my life, realize that not all vulvas look the same. So I just came across an artist who does body casting. Her name is Lydia Reeves. And I was just in shock because at that point, I had a finished degree in biology. I had relationships, I have friends, family, and all of that, living in the middle of Europe. And still, no one ever told me that there is such diversity. I didn't watch porn. I haven't slept with people who had a vulva. So this was just like, whoa, what happened?
It's wild when you think I'm a today's years old, when you figure out like, oh, wow, it is so diverse.
Exactly. So out of that, I also told my boyfriend, and he said, "Oh, of course, I've been knowing this since I'm 12 because, we watch porn."
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and I looked at him and we were like, there is a problem here. Is this just mine or is it more people's problem? And yeah, out of that, more like a self-experiment, I tried to make my first statue. It turned out great. But I noticed very fast that it brings up a lot of emotion, a lot of things. And it felt a bit uncomfortable, but it also felt like this is how growth feels. So yeah, I went out there, asked people if they would be interested to also get a statue. And I got an avalanche of requests. And I was like, wow, we need to do something here. This is big.
Totally. And this is what you do, right? Like this is your art form. You literally make your living doing vulva castings around the world.
Yes, exactly. I've been doing this for like 5 years now, and it's really like you say that it's around the world with these social media platforms. I've been noticing this is not just a topic here in Austria or Europe. I've been getting requests from the US, from South Korea, from Brazil, from you name it. Everyone is saying, hey, we also have an educational problem. There is only shame, there's only taboo. What do we do? How do we contribute? How can we bring this here? How can we change all of the negative narrative around it?
Absolutely. I've had boudoir clients where they talk about having been in relationships where they've been shamed for what their vulva looks like and the impact that that can have on them, as well as post childbirth,
Yes,
menopause, like just the fact that it shifts, just the idea that like there's an inferiority
yes.
complex around it when really it's the source of creation.
Absolutely. And this is also something that people ask me, why do they come and get a statue? Well, there's so many whys. There's so many reasons. You already mentioned a few. Everything related to the cycle, period, menopause, pregnancies, health, a big topic, health issues. No one talks about being sick down there, and so many of us are. Also, the whole thing about identity, what does it do to trans people, to non-binary folks? Who has a vulva? What does that even mean? Is it safe to have one? And then, of course, the whole topic of sexuality. So it's really something for all of us. And depending on what you're dealing with in your life right now, different motives play so that you just want to make a statue, want to celebrate it, want to put it on a pedal and look at it all day long and say, hey, this is actually art. I shouldn't be ashamed. So, yeah, so many topics that flow in there.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it that you do trans women as well.
Yes, I do trans people too.
Do you feel like there's like a certain time of life that women decide to do something like this, or is it varied?
It's really hard to say. I do notice that people around my age, so like 33, I am turning now, let's say between beginning 30s to, beginning of 50s. The youngest person that I've cast was just turning 18, which is the legal age here. The oldest was 74. And you can really tell how this is like a lifelong journey where sometimes you feel better about your body, sometimes you don't, just when you started to get comfortable, menopause hits, or some
Right.
health thing comes on. So it's really a wide spectrum of people, and that's really beautiful, because what I've been learning was that we have so much in common and we can learn so much from each other.
Yeah.
So whether you're set now in the US or somewhere in South America, we're
Yeah.
dealing with the same things because of the body we were born with. And we should get together, and instead of making each other feel bad or shame each other, talk, and you will see there is so much we can learn. And that's really inspiring. I love that about my work. I mean, you must feel similar about your boudoir shoots. When women and people get together to work on something in a safe space, magic happens, and this is just fantastic.
Absolutely. I do call it like my magic trick, literally. And people ask me, like, oh, is there like a certain time? Like, when do people do this? Why do people do it? And with boudoir, there are common moments. So, like, often giving it as a gift to the fiance or a big birthday, like a new decade kind of thing. But it really ranges, like I've also had a 19-year-old, like as the youngest, and then I've had 76, 81, like it's varied. And there are all of the different reasons. And the reason they come in is part of their life's journey. It's part of stepping into that moment of being brave. And just to go back to the magic trick idea, when people see the photos that day, because they do a same day reveal, and part of that is really important to me because it's before I do any touch ups, anything to them. And it's to show them you're as beautiful just out of the camera. They're like, wait, I'm in Photoshop. I can't believe that's me. All of that. And it's really an opportunity for people to witness themselves as magic.
I love it. I always say we have so many qualities and we can do so much. And you do this your way because you're good with photography and you make this podcast. And this is how you contribute to, stepping in the right direction. I do this with art. Someone else may be doing this in theater with music or whatever. So step by step, we're definitely going in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. To go back to something you said earlier about how like you were trained as a biologist and then you started doing vulva casting. Can you shed a bit more light? Like, what was that transition like for you?
Sure, sure. So yeah, I mean, it really came naturally because I noticed there were just so many requests, and this is also it just made a lot of sense to go after it. And I don't know if you know this, I'm pretty sure you do, but there was also a lot of anger with every story I heard from each person where things went wrong. I was just like, how is this possible? Like someone has to do something. I'm just gonna, tell that person's story anonymously and just bring change and do something. And
Right.
with all that passion and anger and love, in a way, it just was obvious that I did less and less of the other and more of this. And yeah, I think it's been 3 years that I've only been doing that. It was just necessary. There was not really a question about it. I really saw it and I felt it that it's the thing I want to do. And yeah, it also comes with ups and downs. As someone who is, self-employed, it's also a big woman's thing. How much is our time worth? How much do we really invest? Do we take breaks? Do we take care of our own body? So it's also been really interesting for me to learn all of that. And yeah, but all in all, I absolutely love what I do, thanks to so many people who just contribute and support it.
Absolutely. Well, the reason we connected was because I saw that you were going to Chicago last year, and I've been following you for a while. And there was like this internal voice of, you should reach out to her and see if she would want to use the studio for New York because, I cultivated it to be a safe and open environment, which from what I could see of what you show of your sessions, I was like, this space would work perfectly. So I literally just DM'd you and was like, hey, do you have any interest in coming to New York? I would love to offer you my studio.
And I'm so excited. It looks like the perfect space. So I'm well excited. In July. So everyone who's like listening, from the 21st till the 28th of July. I'm very excited. And I was in Chicago last year too, and it's been the first time in the US. And I was like, oh, how is it going to be? Different culture and all of that. Honestly, again, very surprising. Such beautiful sessions, such beautiful people growing up on a different continent. But when you get together into this safe space, it was just like meeting old friends. And yeah, I can't wait for that again.
Absolutely. I know that even looking at your Instagram, there was something so healing about seeing it for the first time. And as I've been following, just continuing to see the content because it is such a mystery topic and so taboo. And for it to just be open. And I can only imagine, and I will find out myself, how healing it is to actually have the experience. What is it like to have a vulva casting? Like, what is the process? What could people expect?
Yes. So the sessions normally go like an hour to an hour and a half. A lot of it is talking. I'm sharing photos. I'm showing statues. I'm getting to know the person. We're talking about how is the relationship with your vulva, what's going on at the moment. So it's really just creating a space for conversations that normally can't exist because we're either too scared to start them or we're a bit ashamed or we don't know if the other person cares. During that time, we just get to know each other a little bit. And at one point, we will start the casting. I'm explaining how everything works. I'm showing the products. And the casting part itself is only around like 15 to 20 minutes. And yeah, you can imagine it. You're going to sit down on a sofa and I'm going to hand you a little mirror so you can take your time to actually ease into it. I am a little bit on the side. I'm going to explain to you how to sit.
Right.
And that's the moment where you also get the mirror.
Yeah.
And yeah, at that stage, though, we both are really comfortable with each other and, of course, see how the person feels. But generally, there's just like excitement and bravery to do it because, in a world where everyone tells you not to talk about this, not to look, not to touch, doing a statue is like a rebellion.
Yeah.
So everyone who comes in, they always feel very proud and they should. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts? Where's the statue gonna go? Have you already thought about that?
I know. Well, because there are so many options of like what color you want and different ways you can, finalize the portrait. No, I haven't decided yet. Because I know you also do like the different sizes, like the regular size, and then you call it like the pocket pussy or something like that. And I just love that it's playful and it's fun and it gets to be a celebration of the body. And to go to the mirror aspect of it, some of the different programs that I've seen when it comes to women experiencing pleasure with themselves more and feeling like they have a right to have more pleasure within themselves, there is this mirror element where you like need to like actually look at yourself, and how it's crazy that that's not something that happens more. And it really does go back to one of the things that was most impactful for me in my college years, and this was before I even really had picked up a camera and definitely hadn't done boudoir photography, was that I did take this French feminist philosophy class about Simone de Beauvoir and the second sex. And one of the chapters that was the most impactful for me was when she talks about how for men, it's this outer expression, and for vulvas, it's this inner expression, and how women are just meant to feel like less because it's this inward thing versus a physical manifestation. And how I really feel like this is like a reclamation of celebrating like both the inward and outwardness. So I
Yeah.
feel like this is totally like Simone de Beauvoir would be proud of us.
Oh, absolutely. And there were so many people in the past who've done fantastic work, and there will be people after us who do it too. But yeah, it's really interesting to look at history, because if you pay attention, you will see that certain things have been planted and invented and done purposely to, put us in a corner, to take away certain rights from us. Because of course, someone who is not educated, they can be easily manipulated. And there will always be people in history who benefited from us not knowing ourselves. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't know yourself, how are you going to know your boundaries? How are you going to express what you want and what you don't want? By just removing this part from us, we give away a lot of power. So it's like you said, it's like reclaiming it and saying, hey, what do I want? Do I want it because it feels right? Or do I want it because everyone around me in society told me I should do it this way? So yeah, there's really a lot that is represented in this body part, and
Right.
yeah, it's very powerful.
I feel like you get this a lot. You've already mentioned, I know I get it. It's like, well, what do you do with it? And there's actually a lot of science behind doing something for the sake of pleasure and out of desire has actual like physical effects on us, emotional effects. Like that in itself is enough of a reason to say yes to a vulva casting, to say yes to a boudoir shoot, that it doesn't always have to be like
Yes.
because of X, even though it's been proven that it really does help you.
Yes. When it comes to these topics that really are so deep, you do a favor to every single woman, to every person who has a vulva, because if you heal that part in you, if you feel different, more comfortable, more educated, you do us all a favor, because we are going to buy different products, we are going to vote different people, we are going to be active about certain things and not others anymore. So you really do us all a favor. And I always say, if you look at generations before us, like my mom, my grandma, the one before, the position we're in right now, it's a sort of luxury, because we're the first generation who can think about these things, who has the safe spaces to feel certain things. Before it was just like, keep going because you didn't have a choice. So here we are with a choice. And even though sometimes it's really uncomfortable to go to these places, look at all your issues, but it's a gift. And the generations before us didn't have it. And it's really good to remind yourself of that sometimes, because it keeps you going, even though it's uncomfortable. You know it, I know it.
Yeah,
Just because we do these
absolutely.
jobs. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think all the time about how we are literally like the blessings that our ancestors prayed for. Like we are the most free of any generation of women in history. That doesn't mean there aren't a ways to go and that there aren't any issues, but that in order for us to be in this moment talking on my podcast about vulva casting, like think of all of the decisions that needed to be made by us individually, but by our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers in order for us to be in this place. And that by us, by us partaking in this action, we are continuing the conversation, maybe a bit on the cutting edge, maybe a bit on the boundary pushing, but someone's got to do it, right?
Yes, absolutely. I can't agree more. So yeah, I feel very lucky to be doing this job. And I always say thank you for everyone who supports this, whether it is with coming in for a session and supporting it financially, or just liking it or sharing it. The taboo can be broken just by speaking about it. So everyone who is listening can just say, hey, I just listened to a podcast where two people were talking about vulvas. And there you go. You just started something.
Yeah.
Share it without words into a group chat or something like this.
Absolutely right. You can partake in as simple of a way as like booking one of the sessions. And it can be just mentioning, oh, look at this Instagram account I found. I'll give it a follow. Or just sending a shared link to your best friend about it. There are so many ways you can participate in the dialogue moving forward.
So yeah, thank you to everyone who is doing that. It's something we forget. Even if I'm on the other end, I remind myself of that. But we have to support the people who we think do important work. So this is also, I'm so glad that we got together.
I'm so excited. And we are going to have links in the show notes to book your casting when you come through Boudoir by Nomi this summer. And there'll be a special code. I think we've decided on Nomi as the code, and we'll have all of that info in the show notes. So Vicky, I'm really just honored that we connected and that we are able to create together in all these ways.
Yes, and we're going to continue this conversation when we meet in person, because there's so much we still didn't touch.
Totally. I mean, like, I'm already sending you articles and being like, can you believe this bullshit? Like, whatever. And we're able to feel like we're all on the same wavelength.
Yes, but that's the good thing about it. A few months ago, we didn't even know each other. Exactly. And now here we are, and we're thinking, wow, this feels real and great. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Thrilled. All right. Lots of love, Vicky. Thank you.
Bye, Nomi. Ciao.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Because I Love My Body. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could rate the show 5 stars, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might love it too. I'll talk to you again next week.